Two of them are
Question is, where would be a place to leave this? No, we want to evidence for your trial.
Haven't I given enough of that?
Yeah. Actually, could you just keep this pointed at her?
She's got to sit there like that for an hour and a half.
Well, you pass it to Robin.
Okay, so as is tradition, I have to introduce you. Bonna Haberman, I know you from Facebook.
Okay.
And heard great things about your book and other things that you've done in the news or not in the news. I'm sure you'll tell us about that. Okay. Also, please tell us a bit about your book and the fact that you're selling it after the shiur for a discounted shiur and shmooze price. And also tell us, please, about the tzedakah, 10 shekels for tzedakah, and also, just in case anybody wants to know, the mamad is over there. It's my bedroom, and there's only.
I thought it would be.
And only certain people can come in. And God forbid, let's hope it doesn't.
Are you living here?
No, I'm not. Not at all. I'm not. Who's watching?
You said my bedroom.
It's the guest bedroom, and I happen to be house sitting right now.
Okay,
right, Mum?
Okay, fine then.
This is all going on.
Over to you, Mum, with tzedakah and other things.
Well, first of all, tell me your time frame. How long do you usually be back?
An hour and a quarter.
Including the study?
But no,
Okay,
just
quick.
like you've got about between an hour and a quarter to talk.
Okay.
Depending on if anybody falls asleep or.
Well, we'll try to avoid that at almost all costs. So first of all, I want to really thank you, Nadia. Thank you for inviting me, and it's really a pleasure. I'd like to begin. First of all, we're going to focus on this book. Not from the point of view of learning the whole book, but at least becoming a little bit familiar with some of the topics that I raised in the book. The book is called Rereading Israel, the Spirit of the Matter. And what I do is I bring up a number of issues and texts that I think will give some more vitality to Zionism as it's under siege and flagging at the moment in the eyes of a lot of people. Those are young people in Israel and outside of Israel. And many around the world who feel that Zionism is much less relevant, much less compelling, perhaps outdated, maybe post-Zionist and so on. And so this book is really to give a boost to Zionism from the point of view of a very sensitive, ethical perspective, which is also very committed to the unfolding of Jewish peoplehood and tradition. So that's the basis. And what I'd like to do with you this evening is share a few provocative texts that I cite in here. And I apologize in advance that I didn't give you the originals in Hebrew because I wasn't aware that you study Hebrew. I'm very delighted that you do. So we made last-minute copies of 2 of the biblical texts, and the rest of them I'll be happy to help you with in terms of the Hebrew originals. I don't have them printed, but I would be happy to work with the language if you would like to know what the originals are. So I'm going to open with one of the ideas that I bring up in the introduction. And I'll warn you that the book is very dense in terms of ideas. Every page is really packed. And one of the ideas that I suggest in the first chapter I call the Zion cycle. You're all probably familiar with the sense that Freud convinced us about our unconscious, and that our place in our family and our early history really determines to a large extent what our experience will be like in the world. Do most of you buy this idea, by the way?
Yes.
I don't necessarily buy it completely myself, but I think he did have a very important point about how we need to come to terms with our early history, our experience as young people, and our relationships in our family with our parents and so on.
I was talking to somebody today about it because we were talking about, please God, becoming mothers, and our parents and other people's parents who we happen to be dating or not dating. And
Not the parents.
no,
The parents of the people.
I think that could have been easier actually. But and the fact that I think certainly the older we get, we are more aware of how much damage or how much good we can do to our kids, and how important it is to be, you know, I mean, it's very easy to get married and to often when you're younger and just have kids, but actually when you're older you realise that how much of an effect you can have on your kids.
Right, okay. Right, so
But it's not necessarily, it's certainly getting over that, but you can't blame everything that happened. You have to try and say, okay, this is what I was born with, now how am I going to cope with it?
right, so that's right, that's part of the legacy of Freud, that he suggested that if we can analyze our early history and understand the relationships that were formative in our lives, then we'll be better able to make intentional choices about how we should live in the future. And if we don't do that, then we'll be pretty much condemned to either be in the pattern that was imprinted on us, or rebel against it in some ways, but not consciously. So the idea of the Zion cycle, it turns out that Freud and Herzl were in Vienna at the same time. And that's not to say that Herzl absorbed Freud's unconscious concept, consciously or not. However, I think it's possible to make a similar argument at a national level that Freud makes at a personal level. In other words, each one of us is not only born into a family, which is very specific, parents and siblings, but we're also born into a national or people identity. And that has to do with the culture and the language and the traditions that are part of our upbringing, along with the personal family that we have, the biological family. We have this larger family, this larger sense of connection and belonging. And the one that the Jewish people has is what I call the Zion cycle. It's the connection to Zion. It's the connection to the Jewish people. And I think it's really as indelible as our biological connection, meaning that we can't really deny it. It's with us whether we embrace it, repress it, oppose it, critique it, turn away from it, go towards it. Whatever we do in relation to it, we're always in relation to it, no less than our parents even. And I feel that this Zion cycle, which is also a name for the larger narrative of the Jewish people, that we're constantly in relation to this place. We're either heading here, longing for it, living here, in conflict here, exiled from here, and longing again for return. And this is a cycle that's gone on through the past 2,500 years, even longer if we consider the original Lech Lecha. And that cycle is really, in a way, the heartbeat or the breath of the soul of the Jewish people. So this does, in a way, inform a lot of the ways we look at Israel today, that we're on this cycle, and the current manifestation of it is Zionism in the modern period. And the homecoming of the Jewish people is one very unique and precious moment in the Zion cycle. And what we're here to do in a certain way, all of us who have come from other places, we've declared our route, into Zion, and we're in that part of the heartbeat, is really to contribute to making this moment where we're here, both enduring, meaningful, and true to our deepest commitments as Jews. So this is an idea that I think might help us understand the significance of being here. So I'm going to read it to you, just this one little piece about the Zion cycle. Sigmund Freud persuaded modern, I'm on page 15. Sigmund Freud persuaded modern culture about the deep unconscious layers of the human mind. Through analysis of unconscious experience, people can achieve greater self-understanding and capability to choose our life paths willfully. The psychoanalytic tradition encourages people to probe their early family histories and relationships and to interpret effects on their lives. Interactions with parents and siblings form the dynamic and backdrop of personal biography.